Good morning. It is Friday, February 9th, 2024, and today is day 31 of the legislative session. So, to all who celebrate, happy halfway point for the session. There's been a lot going on at the Capitol this week, a lot of discussions as the finance committees are wrapping up their budget presentations and now preparing to start taking up legislation. The chamber has two child care bills that are very much alive and active. And we're hoping that the Finance Committee in the House is able to get to those bills here in the next week or two. So stay tuned on that, and we're continuing to push those to help really solve this workforce problem and provide more opportunities for people who want to go back to work to be able to go back to work. Um, one of the things I want to talk to you about today is a lot of what we do as a chamber is to look out for legislation that can be problematic for our members. And when it comes up, to work to stop that. So for the past week and a half, the West Virginia Chamber has been very closely engaged in dealing with House Bill 4759. Now, House Bill 4759 passed the House of Delegates by a wide margin a couple weeks ago. And on the face of it, it looks as a way to it's really been argued, I should say, as a way to deal with the problem at the southern border of the United States. However, when you really get in and read the legislative text of that bill, it's very clear that this legislation is nothing more than a mandate on businesses. So let me back up and just give a little bit of an explanation. Current law in West Virginia is very clear that businesses may not hire or employ an undocumented or illegal immigrant. That is existing law. That has been existing law for quite some time. And the penalties for doing so are fairly strict. The first offense could lead to a $100 to $1,000 fine. The second offense, that fine could range from $500 to $5,000. And the third offense, that fine could range from $1,000 to $10,000 and have jail time tied in with it. So that is something that is currently in law and nothing that is being proposed to change. However, House Bill 4759 would strip those penalties out in an effort to require every business to utilize a program called E-Verify. Now, E-Verify is a program operated by the Department of Homeland Security at the federal level. And when we've reached out to you, our members, to ask, it's about half of you are using it, half of you are not. The problem is that this bill mandates the usage of that program and sets some very tight time parameters on it. For instance, under this bill, any employer would have to utilize E-Verify. One section of the bill says employers of 15 or more employees. However, the rest of the bill says all employers, regardless of size. So we're going with it's all employers. But under this bill, an employer would have to conduct the E-Verification within 3 days of hiring the individual. And it's not clearly defined. Is that 3 calendar days? Is it 3 business days? Are holidays included or excluded? But within 3 days, that E-Verification would have to occur. If it does not occur in that time frame, then that business has committed a violation. And that violation under this bill would be the exact same as employing or an undocumented or an illegal individual. Now, the other provision about this is that if a business employs somebody and they work for less than 3 days, that E-Verification would have to take place on day one. Well, the problem here is I'm sure many of the people watching this video work in businesses where you've hired somebody and by lunchtime they decided this isn't for me and they quit. If you didn't get that E-Verification done on day one and they walk out the door, you're in violation. And good luck getting them to send you the information you need after they quit so that you could conduct that E-Verify. So that is one problem of the bill that jumps out immediately to the chamber. Another aspect is that the penalties have changed, and the first violation would lead to a 10-day suspension of a business license and any contracts tied with it. The second violation would be a 60-day suspension, and the third would be a permanent suspension of a business license. The bill does not define what a violation is. Is it each occurrence, or if you were found to have failed to do the E-Verify 3 times on 3 employees during one audit, have you committed 3 violations? That is our read of the bill right now. So that is just one more problem. The bill would also authorize the Commissioner of Labor to perform random audits of businesses to check their compliance. Now, we can just see a scenario where that easily leads to abuses, where if a business gets on the wrong side of a Commissioner of Labor or they have a disagreement, that could be abused. And there is some historical reason in West Virginia for having those concerns. Nothing with current officials, I want to be clear, but in past history, there is certainly reason to be concerned about a provision like that. The chamber is now working with a broad coalition. We have 9 associations that have now signed on opposing House Bill 4759, and it may go up to 11 or 12 by the end of the day. We are working with a very broad coalition. And when we're talking to legislators, we are being very specific on the facts of the bill and how it would work. Again, this bill is not attempting to change, nor is the business community attempting to change current law related to hiring undocumented or illegal individuals. But this bill would create a lot of pressure on the business community, especially small businesses who lack a complex HR department to handle these types of issues. But again, we're very thankful for the coalition that we have. The meetings that we've had have gone very, very well. This bill is currently in the Senate Government Organization Committee, but it does have a second reference to the Senate Judiciary Committee. So our goal here at this point is to keep this bill from leaving the Senate Government Committee and just to get it bottled up. But while we do a lot to try to pass legislation to get good things going in West Virginia, on occasion we have to stop what we're doing and fight a maybe well-intentioned but bad idea. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, just to give you a little idea of what can go on and how the chamber works to represent you. We're going to be having a briefing again next week for our members. So look forward to giving you more of an update about what's going on in the session. And as always, reach out to me at my email address, bdayton@wvchamber.com. Thank you for your continued support of the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, and have a great weekend.